Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector. So I wound up actually opening my Switch version of the Capcom Fighting Collection and playing it because I remembered that I have an 8-bit Do controller for my Switch, which actually is pretty comfortable. But I was pleased to find this cool looking comic book on the inside of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Now, my cartridge is actually in the game. One of the last games that I was playing was The Last Faith, so that's why that cartridge is in there. But this comic book is actually really sick for a few reasons. One, just the artwork in this comic book is pretty dope. And then also, the way the comic book smells, it actually smells like they use like actual comic book material here on this game. So it's very, very cool. Just a very interesting take. I actually much rather this than like some type of just corny manual. And I'm really glad that they decided to do something like this for the Capcom Fighting Collection. In the in the Street Fighter collection, I think, or Capcom Fighting Collection, I think, they didn't really include anything like this. If I'm not mistaken, you guys can let me know down in the comments, but I don't think they included any like extra booklet or comic book or even manual. So this was actually really pleasant to see once I actually opened the game and decided to start playing it. Now, as far as the games go, I will say that a few things. So first, I want to say that a lot of the games, yeah, the fighters, right? Pretty much all of the fighters have been done very well. They've been, I guess, emulated or ported or however you want to describe it. The way they did it here for the Switch, I feel like they did a good job. One of the commenters on my last video about this game said that there's severe input lag. I didn't really experience that when I played Marvel Superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Um, the only thing that I noticed is that because when I played it, I didn't have my 8-bit do charge, so I was still using like the standard Switch controller. But doing combos on that controller is going to be really, really tough for me. So I'm definitely going to need like a different controller, either my 8-bit do or Pro controller. But I didn't really notice severe input lag when I played any of the fighters that I played. It could just be me, but you guys can let me know down in the comments if you experience any type of input lag with this game. Let me know. It wasn't anything that I really noticed, to be quite honest with you. Now, granted, I was playing it late at night. I was half awake, so everything was probably lagging at that point, but I didn't experience that. The one thing that I will touch on is the Punisher. Now, I was a little bit skeptical because a lot of times, you hear like, oh, this modern version is way better than the original. I have to admit that the Punisher on this game is way better than the Punisher that I have on the Sega Genesis. I will have to admit that for a few reasons. One, it's clear that this version was the arcade version because the music is a lot more clear. It's a lot more melodic. The Sega Genesis wasn't really the best at making like good sounding music. It sounded very digital. It sounded very static. That's how a lot of the music for a lot of Sega Genesis games sounded. Now, there were some games that were able to take advantage of the Genesis when it comes to like the music. I think there are a few shoot 'em ups that did a good job with that. Glaylancer is one. I think Glaylancer did a good job with the music. I think like all the Sonic games, they do a good job with the music on the Sega Genesis. But the music from the Punisher on the Sega Genesis is not great. It's really not great. It sounds way better on this version, which I guess is the arcade port. So I gotta give hands down to the Punisher on this game just for the music factor. The other factor that I gotta give it to this Punisher are the graphics for sure. Now, don't get me wrong, the graphics on the Sega Genesis version isn't bad, but the graphics on this version is a lot better. You can actually see um, the Punisher's hair like waving back and forth. I mean, it's pixelated graphics, but it's not as detailed on the Sega Genesis. you see like the Punisher's little curl in the front, it kind of waves. I didn't really notice that when playing the Genesis version. Now, granted, I haven't played my Genesis version in some time, but just from what I remember, I feel like this version does a better job with the pixelated animations. The third thing is the sound effects. There are a lot of sound effects that obviously when you hit the enemies, you know, the punching sound, the shooting sounds, the you know, the sounds whenever you're attacking with a knife or a bat, or even when you're picking up items and getting points. Sometimes the sound effects on the Sega Genesis sound very muted. They sound a lot better here on this version. And I'll be quite honest with you, even if Capcom didn't add in all the fighters and just made this like a recreation of the Punisher, I still think that this game would have been worth picking up because it's a great 2D beat, sorry, 2D, two player beat 'em up rather, that you can play with one of your friends, a family member, or anything of the sort. So I will admit that after playing it, just for the little bit that I played it, um, the graphics are great, the gameplay is great, the music is great. I just need to play it again to see if I can detect any of the input lag that that one commenter was mentioning. And then I guess I can make my final decision from there. But it is pretty cool playing it on the Switch. I'm sure I'm gonna run into some folks online. I may try my hand at a few online matches. I just haven't gotten the feel back yet. That's the real reason why I haven't really dove into any like real hardcore online matches. I'm like extra rusty. But I'm gonna see if I can get my feelers back and then take on some online challenges. But yeah, let me know what you think about this. This game is well, the physical release is 2 days old now. I've seen a few people on YouTube mention that they've picked it up. This is a great game. And I would definitely pick this one up. I have a feeling that the licenses for all of these characters, because there's a lot of characters in here. But you know, I know a lot of the characters were purchased from 20th Century Fox, and Marvel has them now. But a lot of the licenses and a lot of these characters, sorry, are not going to be. I doubt that they're going to be available for this game in perpetuity. And so I do believe at some point they will delist this game. It's only a matter of time. They will take this game off of the digital stores, and you will only have the physical copy. This is not a bad way to play all of those games. Does it make me want to sell all of my originals? No. But it still is an amazing way to play all of these games. And at least now, when I do want to play like X-Men versus Street Fighter, I don't have to like pull out my import Sega Saturn. That's the one you see over there. I don't have to pull out the import Sega Saturn and get it all plugged up. I can just pull this out and get some fighting in. But let me know what you think. Let me know if what you've been spending your weekend playing. I'm going to dive into a few more rounds of this, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.